Hello and welcome back to Dadvice, the channel that puts the men into mental health, and this is episode 2. There are plenty of outlets that present themselves as offering advice for dads, whether that's books or the NHS website, the NCT organisation, just YouTube videos. There's a lot of different areas that cover this. The issue that I've frequently found though is that when you actually go through these, it's not really advice for dads, it's often advice for how dads can help mums. Now, is it important that dads know how to help mums? Yes, of course it is. Knowing how to help mum is super important. But my point is this, if you're in need of advice for yourself and you're being given advice on how to help someone else out instead, there's a disconnect there, and that's a problem. Now you might ask, if the advice that's being given on kind of how to help mums out, if it's good advice, then what's the problem? You know, it's good for you to learn how to help your partner out, so where's the issue? Well, I'll give you an example. Say someone is looking for advice on how to help a dad that, let's say, is struggling with anxiety to the point that he is struggling to sleep. They might go on the NHS website, where they will find a section called Advice for Dads. They click on that to see if there's something in there to help them with their anxiety. What they will find is an article that is 1,640 words long. Yes, I counted. And they will have to get about 700 words in by my count before they actually get some advice that's actually geared towards dads. That's nearly halfway through. The article titled Advice for Dads doesn't have any advice for dads for almost half of the article. In the first half, it tells them to carry heavy shopping, to quit smoking, to cut down on alcohol, to do more housework, to expect less sex, and to generally just be more considerate. Now, is all of that good advice? Yes, absolutely, 100%. It's really important that we as dads are being prompted to remember these things and to make sure that these things occur to us so that we can help out. However, thinking back to the start of this example, is it going to help the dad that's suffering from anxiety to sleep any better? No, probably not. And looking at other sources, the picture doesn't necessarily get that much better. I went onto YouTube and I typed in advice for new dads and looked at videos that came up just in the first kind of couple of pages. So these are videos with lots and lots of views, all right? And I wrote down some of the advice that was being given. These are serious videos, right? And here's some of the advice that they're churning out. As blokes, we just have to suck it up. Just do it and deal with it. When she's pregnant, she's right and you're wrong. This one's my personal favorite. If there's a problem that you can't fix, ignore it or get over it. Nobody wants to hear it. Even other official sources like the NCT website has a link called Supporting Dads. Click on it, it takes you to a dead page, it doesn't work anymore. It has another link on there which is titled The Parenting View for Dads. Click on that. Doesn't work either. Now, to be fair to the NCT organisation, it does put some bits and pieces on the website that are really useful for dads. Things like attending scans and ways to feel a bit more connected during the kind of pregnancy process and the early days of parenting. It is worth having a quick look around. There are a couple of good tips on there. So again, why does this matter? Well, look, set this kind of advice, you know, just ignore it, put it to one side, or, you know, carry the shopping more often. Put that kind of advice against the context of as many as 30% of men have been found to struggle with anxiety and postnatal depression. That figure goes up even higher for men that are supporting a partner who also suffers from PND. So in that context, providing a list of things that will help your partner out, whilst useful to know, is not really the fix for these kinds of problems. But fear not, because there are some good organisations out there, and so go and seek out those organisations. I'm going to put a couple of links in the description here, so whether it's for yourself or ladies, if you're watching and you're worried about your partner, go and have a look at these links, encourage them to have a look at them as well. So what is the piece of dadvice that you are going to get from the video today? It's pretty much the exact opposite of all of the advice that I mentioned from those YouTube videos that I was reading out earlier. Firstly, it's really important that you speak up, all right? Whether that is something serious like anxiety or postnatal depression, or even if it's something that's a little bit more trivial but is playing on your mind and it's bothering you, speak up, talk about it. The idea of bottling things up and just do it and get on with it and just ignore it, nobody wants to hear about your problems. Firstly, I bet it's rubbish. And I would like to think that any of the ladies, any of the mums watching this would back me up on this. Guys, they are still your partner. You know, they don't expect for your life to suddenly be perfect and for you to be able to deal with every little stress and strain. Before you guys were pregnant, you probably talked to each other about your hopes and fears and concerns and things you were happy about, things you were sad about. Don't let that change. That's a really important piece of advice here. You know, remember that you are still those people. Keep talking to each other. Don't expect that just because she's now pregnant that she's never going to want to hear about anything that's troubling you. If anything, it's more important that it brings you guys together and that you stay connected through this process. Another piece of advice that I would really like to share with you is actually to say, you know what? These websites that I mentioned, it might sound like I was kind of, you know, talking them down and saying they're not worth. They are worth looking at. It is really important that you carry the heavy shopping. It is really important that you stop smoking. All of those things that are listed on these things. So just because you know, in the process of making this video, I've sort of suggested that look, that we could be doing more. That's not to say that you can overlook the bits that are there, because actually the bits that are there are important and are good to remember. As with all things, it's about balance. Is your 8.5-month pregnant partner really going to want to hear you talk at length about how sore your back is? Probably not. But equally, going to the other end of the spectrum and ignoring any kind of problems, burying your head in the sand, it's all going to come out eventually, all right? You know, do yourself a favor, play the long game, keep communicating with each other. That's always going to be the best route to go. I also think it's really, really important to look out for signs if you are struggling with things. Trouble sleeping, irritability, a low mood, feeling of hopelessness. Any of these things can be real flags for kind of anxiety or postnatal depression. Again, ladies, watch out for these. If you see these kind of traits in your partner, or if you're experiencing them yourselves, dads, talk about it. You know, remember, your family needs you, and you're not helping anyone if you're kind of bottling stuff up inside. So be open and honest about it. And last but not least, I would absolutely recommend always remembering you are not alone. There are lots of other people that are feeling exactly the same way as you, and there are organizations and people out there that want to help you. Check out the link in my description. And as always, please remember, I'm not a medical professional. I'm just a guy sharing some opinions on the internet. So if you do need medical advice, go and talk to a qualified doctor about it. And that's everything for today. I hope you found the advice useful. I really hope for anyone who is struggling out there, please put it into practice. If anybody else has some other websites that they found to be really good in terms of supporting fathers, please put them in the comments below so that people watching this video can scroll down and have a look through and find them, or send them through to me and I can do another video about them as well. I would also ask if you know anyone who you think might benefit from this content and from hearing this and reading the articles in the links, please share this channel with them, share the links with them. I would really appreciate that. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you can see future videos coming up as well. And as always, if you're a fan of the idea of helping dads out and giving them all the support that they need, please give this video a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope to see you again soon for another episode of Dadvice. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.